You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. When snowman melts, they explode, and then they become hippos. Wow, what a beautiful way to start this week's Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's suitable for all ages from 2 and everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and thank you so much to Midnight Boba Tea for that intro that I would say is definitely 100% scientific. I mean, I'm not sure about you listeners, but every winter I make a snowman, and then as it turns to spring, it does explode with hat, scarf and carrot flying everywhere as all the snow turns into tiny little frosty hippos. They're not stinky, they're too icy fresh to smell just yet, and that is part of the joy of spring, when the first whiff of hippo stink cancels out all of the flowers. Midnight Boba Tea also sent in this. They said, I listened to this while trying to evaporate chocolate, so when it rained I could drink it. Here are infinity stinky kittens that meow extremely loudly. Thanks for reading. OMG update, wait Linda, give me back my iPad. Hi, this is Linda. I'm in Midnight Boba Tea's house. I'm her best friend. I'm hiding inside your slippers under your desk. Come and find me. I haven't come to the podcast because I was sleeping for 8 years. I just woke up. Wait, I'm not done. Hey again, it's me. Here's a new tag. Hashtag find Linda. Bye. Oh, wow. Thanks, Midnight Boba Tea. There was a lot there. I hope you were able to evaporate chocolate. That is the kind of definite science I like. And you've given me some incredible Linda finding information there too. Doesn't sleeping for 8 years sound really nice? I wonder if you'd been asleep for 8 years, would you then have to be awake for 8 years to balance it all out? Because that sounds terrible. Linda said she's under my desk in my slippers, but I checked under my desk and she's not there, and I don't have any slippers. So all I know, Midnight Boba Tea, is that you live in the US, so I'm going to have to knock on every single door in America, yes, even the White House, to see if Linda is there. That could take quite a while. I wonder if any of you lot have sent in more information to the mailbag that could really help me out. This is from many-time writer inner 1567 typewriters who says, Hi, so I need to know why you are so smelly, because I can smell you from here. OMG. Well, I mean, you don't say if the smell is bad, typewriters, do you? I'm going to assume you're asking why I smell so amazing. Such lovely smelly smells that you can smell from there. And that is because I like to wash my feet in 100% mouldy cheese water every day so that my feet smell like fancy gourmet cheese. You're welcome. No Linda clues, though. That's not good. Right, this is from Parker 8, and I don't think you need to see the 7 Parkers before him to understand this, but hopefully it will contain some useful Linda info. Hi Tiernan, the second that you read this email, you'll be in the official Comedy Club for Kids space shuttle and you'll be floating around. And also watch out for aliens that eat funny podcasts. 3, 2, 1, blast off. Thanks. Sorry, Parker 8, what will happen?
10, 9, 8, 7,
what is happening?
6,
no,
5,
I can't be in
4,
space. I have to knock on the door of every
2,
house in America.
1.
Hello? Hello? Oh, I guess no one can hear me because I'm in space. Do you know what? It's really nice floating around, though. I wonder if this is what Linda felt like sleeping for 8 years. Well, now that the mailbag has floated off somewhere, don't forget that if you want to write into the show with a question that you have that really needs answering, info on Linda or anything else you like, then please find your nearest galumping dunce, grown-up, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. If they'd like to support this show, they can sign you up to the advert-free Linda edition for a small monthly fee at Apple Podcasts, Supercast or patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids. And there's still time to enter the competition to win a copy of Mike Rampton's excellent book of fun facts, Become a Genius in a Year. All you have to do is email me a ridiculous made-up fact, and the 3 that make me laugh most will win. You've got till June the 18th, and I can only accept entries from the UK and Ireland. I'm so sorry, rest of the world and the universe, that I can see from up here in space. It's all so pretty, but you can't enter the competition. Oh, that's a good point, though. How will I collect my mail while I'm here? Or, well, I don't know, do anything at all except float around. I'm going to have to find a way back down to Earth. And while I do, you listen to this most importantest bit. I am very excited to have right here on Radio Nonsense Cerys Bradley, global head of the campaign for Centicycles, because bicycles just don't have enough wheels. Cerys, it is so nice to have you on the show. How are things?
They're good. They're good. Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing me on and giving me this platform to talk about more wheels on bicycles. It's been very exciting. We've just launched the Milli cycle. Wow. Which I'm very excited about. So you're getting the inside scoop here. I'm really, really excited to talk about that with you today.
Wow, do you know what? I mean, because I have to say, I love Centicycles. I love watching them go down the road and then keep going down the road and keep going down the road and like keep going down the road. It takes quite a while. But I have looked at them and thought, why stop there? And you haven't. And I mean, that's incredible. How big is a Milli cycle?
It's got 1,000 wheels. But we've gone for slightly different tactic because obviously, as you know, the Centicycle, we've got 100 wheels, but they're all lined up behind each other. We thought, why go long when you could go wide?
Wow.
So the Milli cycle is 1,000 wheels. They're all the shopping trolley wheels. Yes. What we're trying to do is repurpose abandoned shopping trolley wheels. So very pleased to say that the first Milli cycle, every single wheel has come from a shopping trolley that's been found in a canal, and we've lined them all up in parallel, which you do need a very wide road.
Yes, I can see that being
for the Milli cycle. Yeah. And so we're currently working with the Minister for Roads in the British government to see if we can knock down some houses and widen some roads so that the Milli cycle is a viable.
That's fantastic. Venture. Well, what I like as well, because I think that, you know, there's bicycles are good for the planet, and obviously they don't have enough wheels, but Centicycles are good for the planet, and pentacycles and all the many others. Millicycles would be so good for the planet because I guess you'd be clearing all this open space by knocking down everything around them. So you could cycle them around, and
yes, exactly.
Plants could probably grow there.
Ideally not, because I think it will be quite difficult to cycle over the plants.
Sure, good point. Yes, that's a good point.
We were thinking about maybe concreting over some stuff. So maybe it's not the best.
It's actually considerably worse for the planet, but better for driving really wide vehicles.
Yeah, but you can if you buy a premium subscription to Millicycles, you do get a second chair upgrade, so you can actually fit 2 people on the Millicycle.
Right. So that makes it makes it more friendly because you're taking a passenger.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can I ask that, because the wheels come from shopping trolleys, which I think that's a great idea and fantastic idea. There are a lot of trolleys in canals, even though there's no shops in canals, which I always thought was a weird thing. Like, why would you put the trolley there? There's not a shop. You can't get your groceries, you know.
Well, fish have to take their groceries home as well. Sure. I think the main problem here is that supermarkets are not paying for the amphibian training which is required of shopping trolley collectors to take the shopping trolleys back. I think it's a health and safety issue at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, there is also the thing of I don't know if you know, sort of fish food tends to be those really tiny little flakes, and they often fit in one small one small little box, and that's enough to feed them for about 2 years. So a trolley is quite excessive.
Well, fish have been, to be fair, they've been saying this. They've been saying we would be fine with shopping baskets. But the problem is if you go to your local Sainsbury's, where are the shopping baskets? They're scattered all around people have to use, it's very inefficient, I agree. People have to use trolleys these days just because there aren't enough shopping baskets.
I agree. So, well, this is and one of my worries. This is my concern with the Millicycle, which I shouldn't have concerns because you're a professional and you're an expert, and I know that you understand how to create these. But I suppose from my point of view, just an idiot on the street, right? Shopping trolleys. Sometimes all their wheels go haywire and you try and push them forwards and that one wheel won't go forwards, and then it's really annoying and you get stuck, and then you're stuck by the beans and you have to live by the beans for the rest of your life. Like, how does that work with Millicycles? Do the shopping trolley wheels do that as well?
Yes, so if one wheel goes in your Millicycle, you would expect the other 999 to compensate. That's not currently how the model is
Right,
built.
right.
And you do have to get the whole thing replaced. It's a bit like when one of your Christmas lights goes, you can either spend the rest of Christmas working out which of the lights on the Christmas lights has gone, where the blown fuse is, or you can just chuck them and get a whole new set of Christmas lights. So we're currently maybe on the 2.0 model. We might make it a bit easier, but at the moment, the way that the wheels are fitted is just one very long pole with
Right,
all of the wheels
right.
threaded
That's right.
onto it. So if one of them goes in the middle, you got to take them all off, which is a bit of a faff because it is only a team of two of us here at the multi-cycle company, so
Right.
we can't really keep up with demand for all of the uh, customer complaints and all of the fixing that needs to be
Right.
done.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize it was only two of you. I mean, that's amazing that the work that you've managed to do, just the two of you. But yeah. So you're saying that if somebody has a millicycle and it goes wrong, it's probably best just to throw it in the canal or in the
In the
canal. Yeah.
canal,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then our recycle team will come round and pick it up, and then eventually it'll become another
Is
millicycle.
your recycle team the one other person that works with you at motorcycles?
It's the both of us, but we do the recycling on Saturdays, so we like to give ourselves a
Oh, that's
different name
nice.
we have a different job every day of the
Right.
week, and then we've got different hats as well, and we like to give ourselves a different team name. So Monday we're HR, and we deal with all of the complaints from people in the
Right.
company about the behavior of the other person in the company, and then on Tuesday, that's our blue sky thinking team. So we actually spend the whole of Tuesday just dreaming up new types of cycles and thinking about where we want to take the company next. Tuesday's the best day,
Yeah. It
probably.
sounds lovely. Yeah.
And then Wednesday, we do repairs. Saturday, we're the recycle team where we go out and we find new wheels. Thursdays is
Oh.
finances, so nobody really enjoys that one. But yeah, we like to do a different thing every day
So
of the
is
week.
Friday the day you actually make the bikes or the?
Yes, and then Sunday is
Oh, okay,
emails.
sure, sure.
So if you have to email us, Sunday is the best day of the week to
That's
email
great. So you
us.
don't get a day off,
No, because there's only two of us
right? Right. Have you thought
in
about
the company.
hiring anyone else, or because it'd be nice to have a day. Like, how do you get through the whole week without a day off? That's exhausting.
If we were not £2 million worth in
Right.
debt, then I would definitely look to expand the team. But it turns out that nobody wants more than three wheels on their bike, which I think
Wow.
is ridiculous. So we're actually campaigning to see if we can get an eighth day put in the week so that we can have a propaganda day so that we can really, put some time and effort into advertising and marketing and convince people that more wheels is better. Because at the moment we're just operating on word of mouth, but most of our customers are very dissatisfied, so that's actually not a great
Yeah.
strategy.
I mean, it just seems ridiculous to me because, like, we're in the future now. The bicycles have been around for a long time, like so long, back to when there were penny farthings and all that sort of thing. Those silly bikes and tricycles have been around for a very long time. Why aren't we moving on? Why are we trapped in the past when it comes to pedal vehicles?
Well, yes, because my understanding of capitalism is more is better. And so I really thought that I could improve on the bicycle just by adding more
Yeah.
wheels. I think there are some teething problems. We've seen this before with many great thinkers. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. They didn't believe Galileo at first,
Yes.
and I do truly believe that, one day we will be vindicated, and that's why we are ploughing on, despite the debt, despite despite the angry emails, despite the dissatisfied customers. Like the belief has got to come from inside, and one day people will see that two wheels, even three wheels, four wheels is not enough, and what you actually need is 100 wheels, if not a
I
thousand. One day maybe we'll even have a bike with 1 million wheels on
Wow,
it.
wow! I think it's a fantastic dream, and I mean, I'm a big backer of the project. I don't know myself where I would be able to fit a millicycle, but I really like the idea of it. And I wondered, why stop at cycles? Are you ever think about scooters with 1 million wheels, or boats with I don't know what boats have actually. Boats with 1 million boats. What would a boat have? What would the
So we personally not big fans of
right,
scooters.
right.
Um, they are the devil's work as far as I'm
Wow.
concerned, and so we won't be tampering with scooters. Like you just can't. I think this isn't not salvageable as a method of transport. We've looked into so boats you can add more windows. That's
Oh,
been kind of a
that's
fun
nice.
project that we've explored in Blue Sky. It doesn't make them Blue Sky Tuesdays. It doesn't make them go
Right,
faster.
right.
So that's been the problem. So we're still trying to solve the problem of what you can add to boats. But buses, we've got some promising thoughts with buses. You've got a double decker bus. Why not a triple decker or a quadruple decker or a decker
Wow.
bus? And the decker bus, where we've got 10 decks on the bus, that is really the dream.
Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? Because you get buildings that have like 100 floors. Why do buses only have two
Exactly.
floors? That's ridiculous.
Exactly. And I think that one is going to be good for the company because there's a lot of investment potential there. Because what company wouldn't want to hire the 10th floor of the decker
Yeah.
bus as their, portable office space?
Yeah. Well, I like the idea that if I live in an upstairs flat, if I got the right floor on the bus, then instead of having to go all the way down the stairs on the bus, I could just walk out of the window straight into the window of my
Exactly.
home. That seems safe,
Yes,
safe
exactly.
and sensible.
Just there's so much potential here because decker buses imply decker bus stops. And you really got to think about the investment potential there. You got to think about the jobs that are being created for architects and for builders. And so I think, there's a big possibility we could get some government funding for this. And as you say, less stairs is better for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
So if people can just be walking, like if we can create a multi-leveled city, probably there's going to be some elaborate ramps, and that sounds like a fun challenge. So I just, as soon as you pull on that thread, as soon as you have that first thought of that decker bus, like where does it end? There's just so many exciting things you can do with it.
I mean, you're really making me realise that everything should just be bigger and taller and have more things to it. And I feel quite cheated. Over the years, I've had roller skates and they only had four wheels on each foot. That was rubbish. Should have had 300 and skateboards. And you go back through life and all the vehicles and transportation that I've been on, and frankly, I feel quite disappointed that they were all so minimal.
I agree, and that's one of the great like miscarriages of justice that we are trying to counter at our multi-cycle company, because more
Yeah.
things it's always better, and maybe one day we'll be able to open like a bio kind of wing of the multi-cycle company, because why have one head when you could
Oh
have
my
two heads?
goodness.
Why have 5 fingers when you could have 27 fingers?
That's right, and then that would solve your
So my
staffing
vision of the
problem too,
future,
because there's only two of you. I should ask who is the other person in the company?
it is my it is it is my alter ego. It's actually a company of just
Oh right,
just
oh I
one
see, oh I
person,
see,
but
right, okay. So the HR day must be really
for,
difficult. You sort of shout at yourself.
yeah, but for tax purposes, it does make more sense to say that there's two people.
Of
So
course, sure.
um, it is meetings are quite difficult because I have to say my piece and then I have to leave the meeting room and I have to get changed and put on my fake mustache and then I have to come back in and reply. So it does add quite a lot of time, and we don't have very much time because we've not even the we've scraped all of the trolleys from Regent's Canal, but we haven't started on any of. We haven't even been to Birmingham yet.
Wow.
We haven't started on any of the other canals in the UK. So probably I shouldn't be wasting the time
Yeah,
by
yeah, but then at least
constantly
if you
changing my
grow one
outfit.
extra head, then that means you and your alter ego have an extra head. That's essentially you got 4 employees. So I think all you've got to do is look at growing 100 heads, and then suddenly you're a fully staffed company.
Exactly. Maybe some extra bodies as well. That might be helpful.
Yeah, I think. Listen, Keris, I think you've got. You're a visionary, and I applaud it. And again, I'm so grateful that you could, in your on your busy schedule, take time to come on the show. And I have got a very important question that I do need you to answer. I think you are the person that can nail this question. But I'm afraid I do have to legally ask you 2 admin questions first. It's just something we have to do. How do you feel about admin when you've already got so much admin to do? Probably.
Well, I hate it, but I love
Oh,
it.
good,
So
great. Could you can you make sure that the you that's on now is the admin loving you?
yes, okay, done. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that was amazing to witness.
Did you see
I
the
did,
change?
and I feel sorry because our listeners obviously they wouldn't get to see that, so I hope they can imagine just how vivid that was. But I mean, you are a different you, Keris. You are not the Keris
I
you
know.
were seconds ago. You are now a completely different Keris.
You would be surprised the amount of chaos that this causes with clients,
Yes.
where they demand to ask to see the manager, and then I transform in front of them.
Can I ask, because you said that the other you has a moustache? Do you go for the finger under your nose moustache, or have you got a full costume? Or do you quickly grow one? How does it work?
I keep it rolled up right under my nose, and then I've just got a little cord
That's
that I pull,
wonderful.
and it unfurls.
That's the moustache of dreams. I would love an unrollable moustache. I think that would make life, yeah, much
I
easier.
think the alternative is that you have them as like a set of curtains that you can like draw
Yes.
across.
I like that. Wow. Well, listen. Well, thank you, the admin you that I am talking to now. We've got 2 admin questions. Take your time on these. I do have to ask them. The first is that listeners to this show are of all possible ages you can imagine. Ice ages, Bronze ages, -7, all the way to 312. Like whatever age you can imagine, except 100. It's a long story. Can't have 100-year-olds, but every other age listens to this show. And I just want to make sure that there are any rude words that you won't be saying during this show to make it family friendly.
Uh, what rude words should I not be saying in order to make it family friendly? What is the worst word that I know? That should be the word that I
Yes, yes.
don't
Please don't
say.
say it. Yes.
Um, I think maybe vexed.
Oh,
That's my. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't think of a way of like describing it
no,
without.
no. I mean, it's important you tell us the word is vexed so that you definitely don't say vexed, because I mean that is a horrible word, and
I know it
yeah.
is. It's very unpleasant, isn't it, on the ears and the heart to hear the word vexed.
Yeah, and I can't explain it, but hearing it makes me feel really angry in a way that I don't know how to express.
It is vexing to hear the word vexed. I think is one of the problems with it. It's why it's such a powerful word.
Yeah, it's got too many harsh sounds in it. For like to have the v and the x, like, and the d. You swap one of those, soften it up. It should be I don't know, like, yeah, hexed is quite nice. Hexer. If you swap most of the letters in it for an H.
You could maybe so if you swap the V for an H, so you've got hexed, and then you swap the D for an R, so you've got hexer, and then we could maybe swap the X for something. We could maybe swap
An
it
S,
for
maybe S, or an M.
or an N,
Henna.
henna.
That's nice. Yes. Yes, that's very. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And then if we swap the E for an O and the ER for a DA, we'd have Honda,
Right,
which is a
that's right.
nicer
Yes,
word.
yes. Although I don't know how you feel saying Honda, because as far as I know, I've never seen a Honda vehicle with more than four wheels.
No, but Honda was one of our early Honda actually are very into the multi-wheel
Okay, okay,
concept, and they find it quite difficult because they're quite constrained by societal expectations of the kind of
sure,
cars that they
sure.
build, and they've been it is actually quite a vexing story. They've been quite hamstrung by
Mm,
bureaucracy
mm.
and the specific laws in the countries that they operate, which means that they haven't been able to innovate in the way that they want to, and so they were early investors in the multi-cycle
Wow.
business. So they're sort of living vicariously
I,
through us. They get to see all the exciting things that they're doing, and they're really throwing a lot of money in the project. So every time you buy a Honda, whether it's a Civic or any other kind of Honda, that's a little percentage of that works its way into
wow. And
our.
by changing the word Vex, which obviously you wouldn't say on this show, to the word Honda,
No.
do you get? Do they send you money for that?
Yes, they take a little portion of our debt every time we say the word Honda, specifically only instead of saying the word
Right, right.
vexed, though. That's the only way that it
Sure.
works. They have to know that I would be saying vexed in
Mm,
that
mm, mm.
context and instead have changed it to Honda. So it's quite a specific
Yes,
advertising
yes.
setup that I've got here. But it's every time that I don't say the word vexed, but I instead say the
It's
word
very
Honda.
sensible though, because I think if if you're really feeling angry enough to say the word vexed, and actually then you say the word Honda, you feel a bit happier because you haven't said the word vexed,
Yes,
and it's a
yes.
nice thing to.
I should also say that if people are listening and they really want to support the multi-cycle project, the deal that we have with Honda is not just if I say the word vexed, instead of saying the word vexed, I say the word Honda. It's if
Oh
anybody does it.
wow, wow.
So if anybody says that they are feeling Honda instead of feeling vexed, or they're finding the situation Honda instead of feeling that it's
Mm,
vexing,
mm.
then we get money for that as well. So if people want to help generate us with funds, they need to go out into the world, create situations where they feel vexed, and then instead of expressing themselves using the word vexed, they have to express themselves using the word Honda.
Wow, wow. Well, listen, thank you for not saying vexed and instead saying Honda. And I mean, I wouldn't dream of saying vexed on this show anyway, because as I said, it is a
Of
family
course.
show. But I will, should I feel the urge, say Honda instead. And then hopefully by the end of this interview, you'll be completely out of debt.
I can only hope so, because it is quite vexing the amount of debt that we're
You mean
in.
quite
I mean,
Honda.
Honda
It's
is
quite
it's very
Honda.
Honda the amount
Yes,
of debt that
yes,
we're in.
yes. I bet. I bet. Well, listen. Thank you. That's admin question one out of the way, dealt with professionally. Thank you so much, Keris. The second question. This is tricky. I think this one. But Keris, would you rather win a lifetime supply of rotten eggs or win a million sad warthogs?
I'm gonna switch
Oh, okay.
uh, just to deal with this one. Need to move into my other self.
Wow. Okay. Why's that?
Because this, I think I would put this probably. This is a tax
Right.
based
Right. Okay.
question,
Sure.
and
Sure. Sure.
and so we've got to go to the
Of
finance
course, that makes sense. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
version of myself. So what was it? A
It's
hundred
it's
rotten
a
eggs?
lifetime supply of rotten eggs. So I suppose that it could mean, depends on how many rotten eggs you think you might need in a lifetime. It might not be many. It could be far too many.
Yeah.
Or the other option is you win a million sad warthogs.
Okay. So I think this is quite a tricky one because our sort of general philosophy at Multicycle is that the more things, the better. And so if you tell me that I could have a million
Mm.
warthogs, I bet I could train those warthogs to collect shopping trolleys from canals, and that would cheer them up because it would give them a
Mm,
purpose,
mm,
and it would relieve one of the biggest like burdens on my kind of workforce that I have at the moment.
mm.
So that seems very, very promising. But the opportunity cost there, the problem with picking that one as opposed to picking the rotten eggs, is that every time I feel like I need to use a rotten egg, I'll just be gutted that I could have had the rotten eggs. Every time I see a two-wheeled bicycle on the street, or even worse, a scooter, every time I see a vexing scooter on this, pardon my language, every time I see a Honda
Yes,
scooter
yes.
on the roads, I will be cursing myself for not choosing the rotten eggs because I could have a rotten egg to throw at that scooter
Well, I
right
mean,
there.
also, we have to think about a lot. It is a lifetime supply of rotting. So obviously, it's a million warthogs, but a lifetime supply for you, and also you, and the other you that you might be, as well as then all the yous you might have if you grow extra heads. That's a lot of lifetimes. That could be far more than a million rotten eggs.
It could. I guess the other way to think about it is if you've got a million warthogs, do they have the ability to make warthog babies?
Yeah.
Because I could start with a million warthogs and I could increase that
That's a good
workforce.
point. Yes, I suppose they could. It depends on how busy they are collecting trolley wheels.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yes, I mean, yes. So potentially you could end up with 4 or 5 million warthogs,
Yeah.
and then of course,
It's a very
yeah,
tricky, it's a very interesting, this is a very, we're really getting into like venture capitalism here.
it's your
This is all about
favorite.
the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
future trading of what ultimately ends up with a greater supply, a million warthogs or a lifetime supply
I
of
mean,
rotten eggs.
I suppose the one thing it's also worth thinking about is rotten eggs can't go off because they're already rotten. Can a warthog go off?
I imagine, especially if that warthog is sad, that warthog goes off on one all the
Yeah,
time, complaining about all the stuff
yeah,
that's wrong with the world that's making that warthog sad. So yes, rotten warthogs can go off.
yes, and
Not
sad warthogs
sad
can go off.
warthogs.
Rotten eggs, yeah, and which would be smellier? That's the other thing you'd have to think about. I'd
Well, if those sad warthogs are dredging canals all the
they're gonna
time,
be
I
really
imagine that they
stinky.
smell
Yeah,
worse.
really stinky.
It's okay though because I actually got my first startup capital for the multi-cycle venture by selling my
Oh,
nostrils.
good.
So I can't. The smell isn't even a consideration I have to make because I can't smell
Oh, that's
anything.
fantastic. That's good. That's obviously then where you keep the moustache that's rolled up. Right, it
Yes,
makes
yeah,
sense. Yes, of
exactly.
course. Well, look, I'm afraid, Chris, I do have to ask you to make a decision though. What's your what do you think your preference is? The warthogs?
I'm gonna go for the
Hmm.
warthogs on the basis that I can keep one personal warthog with me at all times, and so whenever I need a rotten egg, I can just send that warthog
Clever.
off to go and find me one.
So savvy. This is why we have experts like you on the show. I think there's a lot of listeners that would have heard that question and thought, there's no sensible way to choose here. You somehow got the best of both, and I think that's wow, Coach. Honestly, absolutely amazing. Well, this brings us to the main question. This has been sent in by Avishai and Leor, who I actually met. I met at the at Steppo show a few months ago, and they were very nice. And they said that they would send in a question, and they have, which is nice. So they have sent in this. This is quite. It's a big question actually, but they said, are hamsters actually called hamsters because they're made of ham, or is it because some random scientist just called them hamsters because he liked ham?
So it's actually the opposite. It was a very good guess, but it is the opposite. So there was a scientist. Her name was Dr. Springboard, and she was based in a research station in Antarctica, and she got overrun by these little furry creatures that were eating all of her samples and stealing her socks and being a general nuisance. And she's actually a vegetarian who hates ham, so she called them hamsters, because she was like,
Wow.
curse these furry creatures. What's the worst thing that I can think of? It's ham. I will name you after the worst thing. And so that's how hamsters got their name. So it wasn't a scientist who loved ham. It was a scientist who hated ham.
Wow. I mean, that's impressive, isn't it? Because, like, often you get scientists sort of name creatures. Well, they name them after themselves if they've discovered them, or they might name them after like a Greek god or something, or a planet. This one just hated ham and went, well, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very much like when murder mystery writers name their villains after people that they
Right.
hate in their real life, so they can immortalize just an annoying person from work as a really unpleasant villain. This is the exactly the same as that. This scientist, she was known for her grudges, so and she immortalized all of them in her discovery, which is why hamsters are called hamsters. But then also there's a particularly interesting glacier in the Antarctic, which she's named after her brother because he did very, very smelly farts in her bedroom when they were kids growing
Wow,
up.
and now that's his legacy. I'm guessing it's a particularly rubbish mountain. Is it? Is it?
Oh yeah. It's melting at a much faster rate than all
Right.
the others.
Wow, that's good. I mean, I think it's very lucky that it was ham that she didn't like because she didn't like sandwiches. They'd have to be called sandwichsters, and it's much harder to say. What if she didn't like bolognese?
Yeah.
Bolognese-sters. You can think of it. It'd be really hard to go into a pet shop and say, "Have you got any blancmanges?" And hamsters at least rolls off the tongue quite nicely.
Yes. I think as a vegetarian, I think she did dislike a lot of things, but hamsters probably like it helps. I think that the song came first, so hamsters were named after. This is maybe too niche a reference now. Um, why would the listeners of this have heard the parody of the Killers song? Um, I've got a ham, but I'm not a hamster.
Hey,
By
we have
Bill Bailey.
listeners of all possible ages. You never know. And I should, but for the listeners who don't know that song, they're not actual Killers. They're just a band called the Killers. It just,
Yes,
I want you to know that it wasn't actual Killers that recorded it because that would be dangerous and no one would listen to that.
yes, yeah. That would be bad. But they had a song which had the lyric "I've got soul, but I'm not a soldier," and then Bill Bailey, who I think if you like this podcast, you would very much enjoy
Yeah.
a lot of his work. He did a parody. He did a funny version of that song, which is I like ham, but I'm not a hamster.
Right.
Or I've got ham, but I'm not a
Yes.
hamster. And it's just wild that song came out before hamsters were named hamsters.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? It's weird because hamsters didn't. They weren't called anything for quite a long time. I think people just used to point and go,
Yeah.
"What is that?" Yeah.
Ugh.
Ugh, look at its cheeks.
That
Why
was
has it got
the normal reaction to a
so
hamster.
much stuff in
Yeah.
its cheeks? Yeah, yeah. And why is it just running around those little tubes all the time?
Yeah, what's the deal with the balls? Do they make the balls themselves? Like,
Yeah.
where are these coming
Yeah,
from?
which I mean, how did just out of interest, those hamster balls that they travel in, they aren't even a wheel. They're just one ball. Does that upset you?
I think I'm on board with many forms of transport. Obviously, scooters, we've said no. There is something like why have one when you can have many? So there is something like it feels like limiting. I think if anything, I pity the hamster that it has to. Because how would a hamster create a multi-cycle? Like it doesn't have the right tools or equipment.
Yes.
And so really, I pity the hamster and I see its limitations in comparison to
Sure.
humans in that regard. So potentially we need to set up a philanthropic arm of the organization where we help animals that are unable to build multi versions of their main forms of
I
transport.
mean, I just even think, what if their hamster ball was inside a bigger ball, 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 and you can connect them all
Yes,
with a little
exactly.
tube for it to run around. It'd probably have a lovely time.
If you're ever looking for a job, you can come join our creative
Wow.
department because it's that kind of thinking
Thank you.
that just we get really excited about multi-cycle.
Thank you. I mean, that's really exciting. That's a really exciting prospect, actually. Thank you. And I also wanted to ask, obviously that scientist who named hamsters, which I appreciate that. I think it's a little bit petty, but in your case, if you had something you hated that made you so angry, almost Honda about it, would you name them a Honda, or would you have to name them about the thing that you were angry about?
I think if I really, really hated something, like if I discovered a bird that woke me up every morning that was driving me nuts, and I got to name that species of bird, I would probably call it a scooter.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
is where I would
Yeah.
have to go. That is how much the hatred
Wow.
runs deep
Wow.
when it comes for me.
Wow, that's yeah. I'd want to name something after those little bits of orange that get stuck in your teeth, but I don't know what they're called. So then that would be there'd be a really long name for an animal, calling them, oh, that's the little bit of orange that gets stuck in your teeth, and it might be too complicated. There's probably a name for that, isn't there?
I think you're going to have to name the little bits of orange that get stuck in your teeth after something else that you
Oh,
hate, which is
no.
pithier.
But
And then,
yeah, then they'll have to call them Daddy Longlegs, because I hate Daddy Longlegs. They're all flappy.
okay, so the little bits of orange just get stuck in your teeth. We call them daddy long legs. And then were you to discover, let's say, like an insect which has got really long legs and sort of like flies about a bit and shocks you, you can call that after the little bits of orange that get stuck in your teeth, which are called daddy long legs.
That's great. Well, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a leaf out of that scientist's probably quite hefty notebook and do that. I think that's fantastic. Well, thank you, Cerys. Listen, I mean that was the sort of insight that we needed, and I hope, I really hope Avishai and Leo are very happy with that answer. I'm sure they are, actually.
It's a great question.
It's a really great question. It's something that they've clearly thought about quite a lot. And listen, it's been brilliant having you on the show. I know you've got a very busy schedule ahead. What are you up to for the next 54 to 55 years?
Well, it really depends on how the multi-cycle business goes, but my vision for the future is this multi-level society where we've got the deckers. All the roads are incredibly wide and flat. We're living in this very concrete landscape in order to accommodate the millicycle. And I will probably at this point be in space.
Wow.
Is what I really hope, because I think why have one moon when you could have multi moons?
Wow.
So that's what I would love to be working
Well, listen,
on.
I wish you all the best of luck with your multi-moon future. And I hope, do you know what, in fact, I hope the next time I look up at the sky, well, I'll leave it. I won't do it today, obviously, because I don't
Yeah, not immediately.
I won't do it today. I might do it tomorrow, but the next time I look up at the sky, I'll give you at least 24 hours. Yeah, I will look up and there'll be 400 moons, and I'll go, wow, that is amazing. Cerys has achieved their aim, and also I can't sleep because it is too bright.
And it'll also be very wet because that many moons, the tides will be.
Yes. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and hopefully we'll get you.
Thank you for having
back
me.
on soon. Big thanks to Cerys Bradley for helping to answer Avishai and Leo's important question, all while they spend every day being various different Ceryses and adding many wheels to things that need them. Avishai and Leo, I hope you liked your answer, but if not, why not write any complaints you have on some hamster food, and then a hamster will eat it, and I'll never have to see it. If you have a question you need to have answered, or you want to enter the Become a Genius for a Year competition, or you want to send in anything else at all, then please get your nearest galumping dunce, grown up, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And also check out comedyclubforkids.co.uk to see where our live shows are near you. And, right, I need to get back from space. I'm not really sure how you do that once you're up here. I mean, if I look out the window, yeah, Earth is very, very far away. Oh, what's that bright light coming towards me? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a UFO? No, it won't be a bird because I'm in space.
It is I, comment 7872989838, smiley crying face emoji, sad face emoji, little tiny hippo emoji, farting duck emoji, little bowl of ramen emoji, and I am on a collision course to destroy the Earth.
Ooh, are you going towards Earth then?
Yes, that's what I said. I'm going to hit Earth in the face.
Oh, right. Can I get a lift? Could you just pop this whole Comedy Club for Kids HQ/shuttle on your back?
I suppose so. I didn't really expect to get hitchhikers out here in space.
I'm a really good passenger, honest. I won't try to change the music or anything.
Did you bring snacks?
No, sorry. But my feet smell of very expensive cheese.
Oh, that's what it is. I can smell that from Saturn's orbit. I suppose that will do.
Hooray!
Let's go!
Uh-oh, it's breaking up in the Earth's atmosphere, but it looks like I should be home soon. All back home. Thanks, Comet.
Very welcome!
Ooh, where are you? Somewhere over here. Is that where you landed? Somewhere about... Oh, sorry, Comet. Right, well, I better make up for lost time and get knocking on every door in America. I'll see you all next week. Bye! You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids Presents. Radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.